is that? Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God!
And if you found this recording, you have to share it, or it'll be after you too.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome to an episode of Found Footage Fridays, a series where we talk about found footage on a Friday with my co-host, Mike Serial.
Hey, y'all. Happy Found Footage Fridays. Hope you're having a great Friday. Hope it's even better now that you're listening to us. Nailed it.
So for anybody who doesn't know, Mike and I took the month of December off. We pre-recorded content. This is our first time recording together in a month and a half. And what better way to do it, right, than to not have a special guest that we're very amped about. We've been talking about this for weeks. But we have the writer-director of M.O.M, Mothers of Monsters, Tucia Lyman. How are you doing?
Hello. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, we're amped. We love this movie. So we were like, oh, if we get an opportunity to discuss the things that this movie covers, we got to get it. So we're
Yes,
amped.
this is super exciting.
Yeah. So this movie came out in 2020, and we're going to get into details about movie filmmaking, inspiration, all those really good things. But we want to play the trailer first. So here's the trailer for the 2020 found footage movie, M.O.M, Mothers of Monsters.
What age did this behavior start?
When he was a baby.
He didn't like to be touched. By the time he was 16, I didn't know who he was anymore.
What are you recording me for?
What kind of kid wants to turn his pellet gun into an automatic weapon?
Stop already. Serious.
Let go. Ow. You're hurting me.
Testing.
Yes, I am spying on my son. That is a live feed.
I'm making these videos for you, for all you other moms out there.
Hey, Detective Kelly, Mom's freaking out again.
Knock it off.
What if it's genetic?
Mom? 3. Where is it? 2. I warned you. 1.
Chico! Stop it now!
Do you feel Jacob is capable of harming you, Abby?
He's still there? You better be.
That is such a good trailer.
It's perfect. It nails the atmosphere and sets you up for the tension in this film for sure.
I don't think I've ever seen the trailer before because I just randomly caught this movie when I was scrolling one time.
Yeah.
So that's a creepy, awesome trailer to sum up the movie.
I totally agree. Yeah. Well, we are, like I said, so amped to talk to you. I kind of want to, before we jump too much into the film specifically, I did want to give you an opportunity to kind of talk about your history in filmmaking and kind of how this project came to be.
You know what? I work a lot in documentary television, a lot in TV. I'm a showrunner, so a showrunner is like a writer, director, and producer. I oversee different shows on like Discovery, TLC, A&E,
cool.
the History Channel. And I've done a lot of paranormal shows. I've been kind of obsessed with the paranormal since I was young. And in between shows, I was like, oh, I have a little bit of ADD. So I was like, in between shows, like I can't sit still. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll write a screenplay. And so I wrote a screenplay that won the Page International Screenwriting Awards. It wasn't M.O.M, Mothers of Monsters, it was a different screenplay. And I was like, oh, well, how did that happen? And then I thought, well, I'll do it. The next screenplay I write, I'll actually, produce and direct it. And I didn't have time for a while, but then there was the Sandy Hook school shooting in 2012 in Connecticut. And at the time, I had a niece who was potentially going to that school in the first grade, which is the grade where the shooter, I actually don't like saying their names, but where the shooter basically killed 26 people.
Right.
And most of them were first graders. And I thought my niece was in that. I was like, why does the school sound so familiar? And I'm calling my sister trying to figure out, like, is there any chance my niece is in this school? Is there any chance? And I couldn't get through. The lines wouldn't go through. It was like,
Yeah.
and we all know about school shootings, but I think that incident, like, just set me down this rabbit hole of research. Like it hit close to home, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like this rabbit hole of research where I was like, how can this happen, and why does it happen? And I started finding a lot of different theories, some of them true, some of them not true. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to make a bipartisan film about this.
Mhm.
And I'm going to explore all the different theories and see if the viewer at the end can see what my theory is, which I think is actually the true theory of why there's such an epidemic of gun violence and youth violence in America. And it happened very quickly. Like I wrote the script, got investors, did the rewriting usually takes much longer than actually
Sure.
the writing.
Yeah.
And we partnered with a bunch of different mental health associations and companies to make sure that we weren't sending the wrong message.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, for me, it was like, I think going down that rabbit hole was what gave me so much information that I was like, how can I not make a film about this?
Yeah.
Well, you can tell that a lot of thought and care went into that, because
Yeah.
that was something that we discussed when we reviewed this movie too.
Yeah.
Was there, like you said, you don't ever, when you're touching on a subject that's so touchy like this, you
Mhm.
don't want to accidentally send the wrong message. And I think, well, Angel and I had way different takeaways from this movie,
Yeah.
and that was what made me want to watch it again and again. And I'm so excited to hear your thoughts on this particular subject, because, like I said, we had different takeaways, but
Yeah.
we both thought that it was handled so well, because it never felt like there was anything crossing the line or pushing an agenda.
Mhm.
No, not at all.
But another powerful part of this movie is how immersive it is. Can you let us know why you chose the found footage format? Because we have seen other movies similar in topic, but I think
Mhm.
you really set yourself apart from many of them.
Yeah.
I did mention in the review that this did remind me of We Need to Talk About Kevin, but
Mhm.
in found footage format. So if you can kind of just tell us why you felt it was important to do it in that style, because I think that really drove it home,
agree.
at least for me.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Originally, I was going to do it as fiction, but the topic itself is not fiction. We have an epidemic of youth violence, of shooting.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yep.
okay, and how is the youth of America consuming media or content? Through TikTok, through Snapchat. These are real life formats. This is, and I was like, so maybe that's the best way to connect with them. But I also have to tell you, like, I'm a horror nut. Like, I love horror films. I love the concept of taking some dysfunction in society and using the horror film format as like a vessel to make it socially conscious, to actually have embed themes, embed messages, or whatever it is. So I've always been a horror nut. And I also have some favorite found footage films. To me, my favorite found footage films are not necessarily paranormal, which is the bulk of what found footage films are. I liked, 0 Days. I like 0 Day. I liked The Dirties. I liked films, and I think it was 0 Day, or was it The Dirties? I think it was 0 Day that was inspired by Columbine, the Columbine shooting in 1999. I liked the fact that you could take real life horror, real life issues that we are facing every day as Americans, or as a species, but as we have a bigger problem as Americans with shootings, right?
Yes.
And you could actually make that something that the youth of today could actually ingest, could actually keep watching, as opposed to doing it as like a drama or
Right.
a non-found footage horror where they might be less inclined to pay attention because they may not be used to paying attention unless it's in a format that they're accustomed to, which is real life format, which is found footage, really.
Some people don't like to have the realism in their horror,
Yeah, I don't mind it.
and that's totally fine. But I
Mhm.
think this is an important message type of movie, and I think that's what really guides you through this movie. Because,
Yeah.
like I said, we have differing of opinions on what kind of
What?
caused him
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
to where it is, and it leaves it open-ended where, like, nobody's wrong, but nobody's right either.
Yeah.
And I do wanna talk about that a bit more, but I also wanna bring up something that we talked about earlier, because this movie was released
Yeah.
at basically the start of
Peak
COVID.
COVID. Yeah.
So, can you talk to us about, like, you wrote this movie, you made this movie,
Yeah.
it's about time to be released, and then COVID.
Yeah.
So talk us through that.
You guys, it was so miserable because the theatrical release of this film was on Friday the 13th of 2020, March 2020. So we had a big red carpet event because we do have some stars in our film.
Yep.
Which is also not necessarily a found footage practice, right? Because
Sure.
kind of like no names, but the
Yeah.
investors wanted some names, and so we got some names. And actually, the kid who played Jacob, the son, is Bailey Edwards. He did not tell us that his father is Anthony Edwards. We didn't know that through all of the auditions, all of the callbacks. We saw something like 450 auditions for the role of Jacob, the son in the film.
Yep.
And he didn't tell us until afterwards who his dad was, which, you know, I don't know, Goose and Top Gun. I mean, ER.
Yeah.
I love that he didn't tell us. I love that
That's
he didn't tell us
great.
that.
Yeah.
He got it on his own merit. Anyway, so we had some celebrities that were coming in, of course, Hollywood Reporter and LA Times, and all of the reviews and papers were coming to our big release on March 13th of 2020, Friday the 13th. And it was like on Wednesday, I think Tom Hanks and his wife got COVID. And then it was like, and nobody knew what COVID was. We were like,
Yeah.
a little flu is not going to kill, the industry. Yeah, well, it did. On Thursday, it was, I think, what was it? The Clippers. It was the basketball team that all had COVID. And they had to cancel the game. Okay, that's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday's the release of the film. Friday morning, sadly, our stars, Ed Asner, who plays the psychiatrist, Melinda Page Hamilton, who does an incredible job of playing Abby, the mom, and she also has, she's got quite a career for her as well. And then Bailey Edwards, Anthony Edwards' son. Everyone canceled that morning, the day of. They were like, we can't, like, this is actually really serious. Tom Hanks has it. Clippers have it, whatever it was. It was like, oh my gosh, you have your celebrities canceling the day of, and they wanted to reschedule it. But of course, COVID ended up closing down the country for the next year. Right? So there was no reschedule. We didn't know anything about that at the time. All we knew was, oh my gosh, our stars are canceling. The Hollywood Reporter is calling us and saying, well, if the stars aren't going to be there, we're not going to be there. And also we have to send a lower level reporter because our higher level reporters are worried about getting this strange coronavirus. So we ended up having to cancel it, which was a drag because it impacted the visibility and the exposure for the film, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't end up seeing it because it wasn't in any of those big media outlets. Luckily, there's such a great built-in fan base for the horror community and also for the found footage community. And we were very careful because I love found footage films to not break the rules of found footage, which actually a lot of found footage films break.
Oh god, they break
suddenly
all of the
music
rules.
is coming in out of nowhere.
I can't stand the music
camera
part.
angle that you're like, well, how did you establish that? We were just so meticulous about not breaking those rules that I think the found footage horror base horror fan base and just the horror fan base in general just gushed about the film. And so it
love
did
it.
start getting exposure. So I think that's why so many people have seen it now. I mean, of course, we'd want even more people to see it, but I think
Of
that's
course.
why it was all word of mouth. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Isn't it?
That is insane.
Yeah,
Because now
that's
now you can
terrible.
watch it on Amazon and it's on Tubi.
It's on Tubi, it's on Pluto, it's on
Pluto is the other one, yeah.
YouTube, Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different platforms that it's on, and that was just based on the merit of the film, I guess, of the viewers liking it. And suddenly these different platforms were contacting our distributor saying we would like to add this film to our roster, and I was like, yeah, let's do it.
And I never saw it that way. I was flabbergasted when she had brought this new idea to me of like how to see this. And so I just would like to hear your opinion without having to say like anything
Yeah.
definitive. Because that is what I love most about this movie, especially after our review, is like now I really don't know what to make of it, but there are so many good points to take away from this movie, no matter which way you see it.
Yeah.
You know what, you guys? It's one of those things where, because we did a lot of screenings before we released the film, where we asked specific questions, and one of the questions is, who are you rooting for? And just like you two are split, our numbers were literally like 50-50.
Half and half.
Half of them were rooting for
That's
the mom,
insane.
half of them were rooting for the son. And I took that as a great compliment, because that's what I want. I want there to be this deep confusion, because there is confusion around this issue, right? Like if you're worried about your son and you're worried that he might hurt people and that he might be the next school shooter, what do you do? Well, I did a lot of research about what you do and what a lot of these moms actually did, which is they looked into programs, they got them into counseling, they did all kinds of things, and it still didn't work.
Yeah.
And so then what? Like, and that's where this movie begins, right? This is where Mom begins. Is
what else is there to
been
do?
in
Yeah.
counseling. I've already, we've moved schools, we've moved towns. The police department knows him. I still think he's dangerous, but he thinks I'm nuts. Like, what do I do? Yeah. That's a dilemma right now that's happening. And, we partnered with a couple mental health companies and institutions that were on set when we were filming this. And we also vetted the scripts ahead of time. When the film came out, at the end of it, there's an 800 number that goes to, I think it's it might be IVAT, Institution on Violence, Abuse, and Trauma. So if you're in a situation like this and you're not sure what to do, or you think your son is, struggling with some mental health issues and also violent, call this number. Okay. Literally, like within a month of the film coming out, IVAT called our producers and said, our number is being like inundated with calls. We have to give them another number because we don't have enough people, mental health representatives, to field these calls that we're getting from your film. And again, I was like, yeah, I take that as a compliment, but also, let's get another number.
Let's get help.
People,
yeah.
And you'll see like different reviews of it. Like moms are like, this is my son. And I'm so happy a film was made about it, because this is it. Or there's reviews on IMDb where someone says, I was that kid. I didn't end up shooting anybody. But boy, I came awfully close. And thank God that this film came out, because it mirrors very much what I went through as a teenager or a late teen, whatever it is. To me, that is the upside of going down a rabbit hole for a year.
Yeah.
Is you do the research and you understand the profile, you understand the behavior, the relationships, the families. And then people get back to you saying, holy shit, that's me, or holy shit, that's my kid.
Yeah, that's very well said. I think it's, you nail right on the head. Because I think too, like one of the things that I talk about when we did the review, and I always think about when I think about this movie, is there's also these interesting moments where there is a softness to Jacob and the way that he treats his mom. And the moment that I always go back to when I'm thinking about how I feel about things is the scene where she is asleep on the couch And he comes over and very gingerly, very calmly puts a blanket over her. I think he kisses her forehead and he walks away and he lets her. And I wanted to, I brought that moment up because I think that those moments are confusing in the best way, because there's this moment where they're normal. That's normal. Like that's a peaceful, loving
Affection, yeah.
scenario. Yeah, sign of affection, things that wouldn't feel out of place or weird in this situation that's out of place and weird and uncomfortable. And I guess I'm bringing it up mostly because I kind of want to talk through those tender moments. Were they put there intentional, and maybe what were you going for when adding in those moments like that, because he's not insufferable 100% of the time. And I think that's an interesting play when you're getting used to this dynamic as a viewer.
You know what, Angel? It's a really interesting question, because in the original script, that scene was not in it. And there were several scenes that were not in the original script. When we did our initial rough cut screenings with friends, but also many people in the industry, they wanted to see more of Jacob. There's a lot of clips in the film, like when he drops the brick off the highway, when he does the dog collar around his neck and zaps himself. Those weren't in the original screenplay either, but that was a request based on some questionnaires from some early screenings where people were like, what is he like when he doesn't know his mom is watching? What is his relationship like with his mom, actually? Like, is there any love there? And of course, I went down another rabbit hole and I was like, yes, there actually is love there. But I had to stay true to the profile of someone who may not be able to express love in the same way. So in that scene that you're talking about, where he blows the big tantrum the day before, and then goes into his room, and the next morning he comes out and mom's asleep on the couch, and he covers her with a blanket. He actually brings her like eggs or something. And it is a intimate moment where you can see that there is some love here, because there always is love. It's not a lack of love, really, that the problem that causes the problem. It's a lack of communication. So you see that there is love. When he leans down to kiss her, I was directing that, and I thought, he can't kiss her because he has an issue with physical contact. A lot of
physical touch.
Yeah, so he wants to kiss her. So we redid that scene a bunch of times, and I said, to Bailey, who's playing Jacob, I said, you want to kiss her and you come close to kissing her, but maybe you don't. Let's see where that goes. And that was the take
that was what happens.
He went to kiss her and he comes so close, and in some cases it looks like he does kiss her, but he doesn't. I thought that was perfect, because he can't bring himself to have that physical contact of his lips touching her head when she's sitting on the couch there. So as long as it was true to what the actual condition is, and yet still demonstrated a love, a relationship. This is a mother and a son. Come on, like, there is love there. There is nurturing there, right?
Yeah.
So I just in the directing of it, we had to do a lot of takes sometimes, because I was like, something doesn't feel true to me.
Right.
Here. On the head, and like, would he do that? Like, I don't know. I don't think he would. I've done. Let's try another take where blah blah blah. So it was a lot of fun. We had so much fun. I mean, we rehearsed every scene was rehearsed ahead of time. It's not, people think it's like, oh, it's improv. No. There is a specific script. There is a scene towards the end of the film, or maybe like 2/3 the way through the film, where Melinda, who plays Abby, the mom, delivers this. It's like a 4-minute monologue, you guys. Okay. So I don't think I'm giving it away by saying she's in the closet, because it's in our trailer too. She's in a closet.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, well, there's only one recording device. To be true to the found footage format, there's only one recording device in this closet, which is the GoPro that he has set up in there for her, right?
Yeah.
So guess what? You can't do a cutaway. You have to deliver a 4-minute monologue without cutaways. So guess what? That took an entire day. That took 26 takes to get this scene. So because I can't cut away to it. Like, if I cut away, then I'm violating found footage found
Yeah.
footage religion, and I really respect the found footage genre. So yeah, so we had to do that again and again until every single line that Melinda delivered, playing Abby the mom, was authentic and genuine and present. And I think we nailed it on like 24, but we did 2 more because she was on such a roll. But I think I ended up using the 24th take. And it ended up being I love that. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh, 4-minute, a 4-minute take without, helicopters or going through buildings or, some of the things that were used to from modern film. Like, no, we can't take it. But to me, that is actually the best scene in the whole film, is when she delivers that 4-minute monologue where she realizes where she went wrong and takes responsibility for what she did or didn't do and pleads with him. And weeps. She ends up weeping, and it's like, to me, it's the most moving moment in the whole film, and that took an entire day to capture.
Wow. Yeah.
So I know that an actor's job is to act, but with this movie and how heavy it was, how did your actors respond? Like after they were done with heavy scenes, or just once they were done in general? Like,
Yeah.
was there a holy crap, that was rough to do? What were they feeling?
There's always when you nail it, when you nail a scene, when you nail it, the entire crew knows when you nail it. Hopefully the director knows when you nail it. But the actors know, because they connect and they get goosebumps, or people in Video Village who are watching it and monitoring whatever it is, script supervision or audio or whatever, they get goosebumps. You know that you nailed it. So when you know you nailed it, there's definitely a moment afterwards where you're like, yes, we got it. But I have to say, like, I don't know if you've seen any of the interviews that the press did with Melinda and Bailey, who play the mom and son. But what's interesting is, I come from a documentary film background. So for me, when I'm asking a real life person about their real life adventure, whether it was a kayaking mishap down the Sangpo River in the 1980s or whatever it is,
Yeah.
I can tell when I'm interviewing them if they're putting it on, if they're like, oh yeah, so I was feeling extra blah 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 this morning. I can tell, and I'm just like, no, cut through the crap. Tell me what you're afraid of. Like, tell me what your biggest fear was before you went down. Like let's get real here. And that's even for a documentary. Okay, so now this is a scripted film, even though it's found footage. Mom is a scripted film. So we did a lot of takes, because I would say, and Melinda teases me about this in a couple of interviews, but Melinda, who plays Abby, I would say, throw it away. Throw it away. No one's watching you right now. Like, just do the line again, do the scene again, and you are by yourself. You have cramps, your toe is probably dirty or whatever it is. Like, just throw away everything that you are associating with how you want someone else to feel. And you're just this is a confessional. These home videos that she's doing about her son being a potential school shooter are confessionals. So confess to me. You're alone in a booth.
Yeah.
Whether there's a priest on the other side or 14 cameras on the other side, you're alone in the booth. And they both did a tremendous job, but we had to keep like bringing it in, keeping it real. The minute that there's a falsity, I usually just call cut and we start again. Or the actors are so good that they themselves would know that they were inauthentic for a second, and they're like, oh, let me start over. Which, you really want to do that when you're doing a film. You always want to let the director be the one that's saying, no, we're going to start over, because maybe it was magic. But they both had just such great intuition about who their characters are, and being true to that in a documentary format.
Well, their performances were dynamic, because a movie like this relies on your two leads, and they did a phenomenal job. Like we said earlier, you can see the care in the script, in the directing, in the acting, from getting everything right when you're talking about school shootings and mental health issues. Like, such a touchy subject, and you can easily get that all wrong. But when you put that time and effort into it, you get something that's so powerful, like this movie. So I think you did a fantastic job.
And if you look on whatever, like YouTube, or people are like, oh my gosh, my son said this to me. And it's like, huh, how eerie is that? But there's a lot of it in the film. And I'm glad that people walk away from it being like, a lot of moms walk away from it like, it's the mom's fault. And yeah, that's really the case. And a lot of other people are like, no, it's the kids, the bad guy in the film. Okay, well, maybe there is no bad guy or bad girl. You know, maybe it's a lack of communication, a fundamental lack of true communication. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm glad when people are walk away confused, or when they debate on our different social media pages.
Yeah.
When they debate, I'm just like, I'm loving it. I'm sitting in the background, just loving it. So I'm glad that you guys invited me on, and I'm really glad that you don't agree with each other.
It makes for a better time when we don't.
It really does. And we typically, sometimes we're on the same page, like exactly. But it's also funny because we both gave it the same rating too, even though we were on, kind of opposite sides of the thought process. But yeah, I think our conversations are so much fun when we're like, what do you, nuh-uh, and we like go back and forth. It just works really well, I think.
And you know
We're
what I loved
entertained.
about your conversation is that when I saw the review that you guys did, and you both gave it a 10, so thank you.
Oh yeah, well served.
But what I loved is that a lot of that review was you guys debating kids, gun violence,
Yeah.
and it was like, it got to the point, it was less about the movie and more about the conversation that I actually wanted the film to inspire people to have. So I wanted to thank you for that.
It worked.
Yeah. It
It
just
got
shows
real
how powerful the message was.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. Well, thank you again for joining us. You can watch this on Amazon, Tubi, Pluto. I will put a link to the socials as well in the description for this episode, as always. And yeah, we love getting to talk found footage filmmakers. It's like one of our favorite things. You guys are so insightful and so brilliant, and we just always get so excited when we get opportunities. So thanks again for that. Yeah, I think that's all we have for this episode of Found Footage Fridays. We hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy your week when you get to it, and Mike and I will see you in the next one.